Buenos días, amigos. Gracias a Dios por otro día, por supuesto. Espero que tu día esté yendo bien. Estoy vivo y sano, estoy bien. Estoy estudiando español esta mañana. Sé que estoy mejorando, puedo escucharlo. Lo que sé, lo sé bien, pero soy limitado. De nuevo, puedo decir mucho. Necesito tiempo. Si hablas español, lo entenderás. Gracias por tu ayuda, amigos, y gracias a aprender inglés. Los amo todos. Estoy feliz de aprender y estoy feliz de ayudar. Good morning, everyone. Thank God for another day. I hope you're doing well. I really appreciate your interest in my peaceful intent at this time. I love you all. The language facts that I'm giving you and the linguistic insights that I'm sharing, they're not my doing. I didn't make it up for you to believe me. It is very much so the linguistic functioning of the world in 2022. We have very much so developed 4 significant languages: English, Spanish, Mandarin, and Hindi. Those significant languages I refer to as significant languages because they are the 4 languages being used as the primary second languages, on the understanding that there's thousands of languages in the world and we just want to be understood when we speak. So, in maintaining your mother tongue, you also need to learn a second language that allows you to be included in the world. The push has been towards English for so long. We actually have developed English as a world understanding, and due to the nature at which it's been developed, it is very much so used more as a second connecting language than a mother tongue. So, if English is your mother tongue, and you live in a primarily English area, you don't need to learn another language because they have all learned English. I believe it is only common courtesy to offer a little gratitude by including other languages without pressures of fluency as we continue to develop the world peacefully using English. The world is very much so bilingualized. 2 languages isn't really a big deal. People that don't have a mother tongue that is a world understanding are very happy to have their second language so they can speak and be understood to the world. And in fact, a lot of the Indian brothers and sisters that I've connected with here in Canada, they tell me that they don't expect me to learn their language, so they respect me for learning their language and are happy to help me develop the language. However, they're happy with speaking English. They still speak their native tongue when at home with their friends and their family. And out of language maturity, I never have to really worry about speaking anything but English to them. And they understand why. However, since I do develop so many languages, I have also developed a similar language maturity, but in the other direction. Regardless what language I'm studying at the time, if I see a brother or sister that I know speaks a language that I'm studying, well, I just speak to them in their language with the exact same language maturity they would have used when they seen me and spoke in English. Again, I'm not fluent in any of their languages, so we do still need English to help us connect in the middle, but we can do that because they are fluent in English. So again, I didn't make these linguistic facts up, and I'm very thankful for the ability to develop language in this way and share my linguistic insights with a broader spectrum of the planet. If you have developed interest in proper language development of our world at this time, thank you very much for that interest. It could really help the multilingual community relax. Just like I'm not making up the linguistic facts, I'm also not making up the health information. I didn't develop the languages, and I did not decide nature's requirements for us as human beings. However, I do respect the languages, and I do respect nature's requirements for me as a creature of nature. I do not eat factory foods. I don't drink factory drinks. And I understand that suggesting a world free of factory foods in 2022 is a very unrealistic concept. And you're not wrong in telling me that it's an unrealistic concept. I know and I accept that that is true. However, you can eat it if you want. I'm not. For me, quitting all the factory foods and maintaining my dedication to consumption as a creature of nature with farmed foods over factory foods, it feels very much so to me like the difference before and after quitting smoking. When you get to that point where you can't believe you ever did it and you know you're never going to do it again, I very much so have removed all addictions from my vessel, including my food addictions, and it has logistically, practically, and intuitionally improved the quality of my perception, regardless what I'm going through. And I'm not making that up for you to believe me, but I am working very hard and praying every day to find people with a similar dedication to farmed foods and natural foods. Natural foods don't trigger cancer cells. Unnatural foods trigger cancer cells. When you avoid cigarettes, you avoid all the problems that come with cigarettes. And when you avoid factory foods, you avoid all the problems that come with factory foods. Additionally, I spend close to nothing on groceries, and compared to what people would think, it's very common for people to see a small portion for me and think that that wouldn't keep them full, but it charges me for 5 hours. And what they're not considering is the quality of the meal I have in front of me, because they don't even really understand the quality of the meal in front of me because we weren't really taught about it. But I did learn about it. And that is why I'm working so hard to get my food insights out to the population in hopes of developing and inspiring a healthier generation to come. I also had a situation where recently where somebody had a meal that I made that was something they thought they'd be interested in. And afterwards they told me they were surprised they couldn't finish it because it wasn't that big of a meal. And that didn't surprise me because it went back to the quality of the meal that I gave them. So the food addictions are very much so creating a lot of overeating, compulsive eating, and eating specifically for your tongue and not worrying whatsoever about what it does when it gets in your stomach, and not thinking about nature's requirements for yourself as a creature of nature. So I know it's a sensitive topic, but it's never been your health professional's responsibility or your medical professional's responsibility to keep cancer out of your own body. Cancer is not removed from our world in the hospital. The hospital is where you go after you've developed cancer. Cancer is removed in our kitchens because natural foods don't trigger cancer cells. Unnatural foods do. And currently in 2022, the factory food flood has bullied the farmers out. And what that means for our population is we do not have nature in our veins. We have finance. We don't have health. We have addiction. And that is why the population's health is so low. And that is why COVID hit as hard as it did. Certainly, it would be understood that when you have a great degree of respect for nature's requirements, you yourself will be healthier. And if you do happen to get sick, well, your sickness will be much less severe and last a lot shorter of a period of time. So if the population had been healthier and not prioritizing factory foods prior to COVID, COVID very likely would not have hit us as hard. The medical professionals would not have been bogged down with a lot of extra work from sick individuals. And our medical professionals really need the population focusing on their own health as creatures of nature. I didn't make that up. I don't actually expect the humans to walk away from their factory foods at this point, but I'm praying that we can find the willpower to do so for the sake of healthier generations to come, free of food addiction, free of cancer, respecting nature with a higher quality perception and a higher quality united living than we have right now in 2022, focusing on the factory foods. For me, it would be easy for me to make 7 days worth of food and travel with it, eating exactly the same way I do right now without any concerns, and my only food costs while traveling for those 7 days would be replenishing the ice. I could make it all up in wraps and parfaits and have my water and whatever I needed with me, 7 granola bars, and I could easily travel for 7 days without any concerns of food costs outside of ice. So that's because I don't eat factory food. So I eat a lot less food of higher quality. And there's no meats, so I release all of the fears of meat handling. And I know that intuitionally and practically you understand all this. I'm really not insulting your intelligence. And I pray that you can take it seriously, because the adults of today are very much so trying to correct a 50-year suffering. So naturally, that is very difficult for the adults of the modern times who are trying to guide the children, who are looking to their adults for guidance. And in the current circumstance, we have very severe financial and health concerns as a population that are not of concern to the people that are, after working themselves into position to protect us from these exact circumstances, they are going to continue to ignore the circumstances. And we, as responsible human beings in 2022 and conscious parents wanting prosperous, united futures for our children, we must develop fresh perspectives and healthy financial and food knowledge, healthy financial and health guidance for our children going forward if they're expected to have any kind of a prosperous future. The individuals that are in position to protect us now, they don't have any problem with flooding our bloodstream with factory foods and keeping cancer alive, because that's what's happening. They don't have any problem with ignoring the mental anguish of the people from the financial global offset. And I don't really want to be saying any of these things. You're allowed to not agree with my statements if you want. But I think, as a conscious, peaceful, loving human being in 2022, you will understand everything I'm saying, intuitionally and linguistically. Thank you again very much for learning and respecting the English language, allowing us to connect our world peacefully. I love you all. Tengo que ir. Dormir bien y siéntete bien hoy. I gotta go. Eat good and feel good today. Paz, amor y positividad a todos. Gracias, Deo. En Dio Yotora. Bye for now.